So let's talk about some advanced stuff a little bit. We're going to talk about two things that you can do next after that. So, but after the 30 days, let's talk about, I would just keep scheduling an interview, keep networking, and then after you do that and you actually have had an offer that converts, you could sell it on demand, so try selling it on demand in another webinar to your own list that you've created, or to other followers. That's the good thing about Hangouts, is that you have a product now. Like, we are doing this weekend, we've sold tickets to this event. Now we have a recording, and now I can go in, and that's the fun part. I have an assistant actually help me, but which does take some time, but we're going to put all the videos in the membership area. Eventually, I'm going to chop them up and make them nicer into smaller pieces. We now have an on-demand product that we can sell. And like you say, I did that boot camp in September last year. That was the first Hangout with Convert anything. And we've done a lot of webinars since then. But and that online demand product is continually makes us money every month. And we've sold over $10,000. I'd have to add it up, but we've sold in the 5 figures of that product since then. So, and a lot of that on autopilot because we have it set up automatically. So, but let's talk about, Roger, let's talk about a couple of strategies here. Now that, let's say you've gone through, you've done this stuff. You've got your Facebook groups, you got your Q&As, you're building a list. Maybe you have 300 people, you're stoked, you're starting to see some results. You hosted a live event. Oh, you sold a few seats to that. You're starting to make some money online. Maybe you want to rinse and repeat a couple times, but you're starting to build some momentum and you're consistently doing this. Now, this might take 90 days. It might take a little while. We built Hangouts that Convert probably, and it's not a huge brand, but it's growing and it's allowed me to make enough income to leave my career. Probably over 6 or 7 months, maybe even 8 months from the very beginning. So it does take some time to really build the list. These action steps are going to be effective, but they're still going to take some time for you to build enough of a brand, enough of a list. But let's say you've done that and you're a few months down the road, you're seeing some results, you're making some sales, you're attracting some clients. What are some things you can do next to take it to the next level? So these are some, I guess, super advanced, I don't know if you call it that, but more advanced stuff. Joint ventures is one, or promotional partnerships. This is something Michael and I have done quite a bit this year. And of course, the dreaded Facebook advertising, which I know Roger talks about, is, in his analogy the other day, or metaphor, was the cart, often that people rely on, and not the horse. Yeah. There is a certain point though where if you are getting offers and you are finding a message that connects, that using Facebook ads makes sense to scale your business, because it does provide a lot of leverage and automation. I use Facebook ads all the time now into a marketing funnel that we've created, and we get automatic sales every day now. Basically, there's a couple days we'll miss a sale or so, but we usually get at least a sale a day now, whereas we used to, and that's an autopilot. Like, I wake up in the morning and look at my phone, I'm like, oh, cool, Like, so that there is a point where you can get to where this stuff is cool, but you don't start with this stuff. You start with you finding an offer that converts, and that's what we taught you before this.
And here's the honest truth with this stuff. When you see people that have the 6-7 figure businesses online, where they're doing it year after year, they're not doing that without buying some traffic. Some of them might do it, but if they're not buying traffic, then it's pretty much they're doing joint ventures and all their joint venture partners are buying traffic. The real simple truth of it, just like any business, I used to own a physical business with 3 locations here in Ottawa. We had to buy advertising. We did a ton of word of mouth stuff. I mean, that's where I got my start teaching networking, teaching word of mouth marketing, but we still had to pay for some advertising, get some advertising. And that's the truth of it. But here's the power of what we're talking about. Like John mentioned, when you've done this a few times, and when you get to the point where and Oris, you're leading perfectly into what I'm saying. When you know that if I do a webinar and on average I get this number of people, and usually it takes you about 3 times doing it. So we're hitting this point in the health and wellness niche where we've been running these live programs. We now know that on average, give or take, every single attendee that we get to show up to a webinar, every single attendee that we know watches a webinar of ours is worth about $6 or $7 to us because of the conversion rates we've been getting that consistently, by the way, using the same webinar outline that we've given you this weekend. And because we got the message down from doing some live Q&As, we've tested it, we get like a 25%, 30% conversion on this. So now we know we've done it consistently. So now we know we've got a webinar and a message that people want to know, and we know we have an offer they want to buy. Now, and only now that we've done it a few times and made good money doing them, now we can go back and we can do something like Facebook ads. Because now if we're paying for registrants, it might cost us, let's say $4 as an example, and that's more on an expensive side, but let's say it costs us $4 for a lead, but I know where we're going to make $6. That makes sense to me. I'll pay $40, I'll make $60. Well, that's $20 profit. Plus now we have people in our list and who are customers who might buy the next program we buy that we didn't need to pay for. So that's how I would determine. So this is a great way to look at this. If you don't know how much someone attending your webinar is worth to you, don't do Facebook ads, because it means you haven't done enough and haven't made enough sales to really get a good idea of it. And here's the other benefit. We now know this information, but we've had 83 people buy this program from us now. This is just the intensive 4-hour training. So we can now take those 83 people and their emails, and we can put them into Facebook and tell Facebook, find us people just like these people. And Facebook will do that. It's kind of crazy, but Facebook will go find all their likes, all their interests, their demographics and things like that. And it will try to only send our ad to people like them. So that'll actually probably bring our ad costs down, because the people who are clicking and converting are the kind of people we're looking for. They're more likely to end up buying. So that's the way I would look at Facebook ads. So right now, don't worry about it. You don't need it to make money. And in fact, again, putting the cart before the horse, what most people do is they think their problem is traffic, so they throw people at their thing. I would wait. Once you know your number's a little better, which means you've been doing it, then you can start putting the paid traffic. Because again, that paid traffic, and Facebook ads is the most popular because right now it's the cheapest way to buy traffic, but that'll change. It might be, in 2 years from now, you might be buying Twitter ads. You might be buying some new social media ads we don't know about. Maybe, pop over ads on the internet are where it's at. But those are things you worry about when you have money to either help people, hire people to help teach it to you or run it for you. Yeah. So don't worry about that stuff until you have that money from it. Like John mentioned when he was going through the setup, Facebook retargeting, same idea. If you have junk traffic showing up to your site, because when you first start, anyone and everyone showing up to your site, imagine now you're paying to have everyone who shows up to your site see a Facebook ad, now follow them around Facebook about your site. It's probably not good traffic, and your messaging might not be good. So don't worry about that stuff until you've got it down. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's all about the offer. It's not about getting traffic. You can buy traffic, but traffic is like rice. I mean, you can buy it, but you need an offer that converts to that traffic, and you need to have an offer with good messaging that those people are willing to take up, or you're just throwing your money down the drain. So let's talk about joint.
First time I've heard traffic related compared with rice, and I love it.
Yeah, it's like you can buy traffic. It's all about the offer, guys. It's all about the offer. That's why webinars are so cool, because you can test the offer and you can test the message before you build the sites and all the fancy stuff and spend all the money. But anyway, let's talk about joint ventures. So at some point, let's say you got a little bit of an offer going and you know your numbers a little better. And this is a little more advanced stuff, but let's just show you what the possibilities and maybe the end result could be. So a joint venture is basically a partnership with somebody that is in or around your niche. Now, not necessarily a direct competitor, but it doesn't have to, it could be somebody that's kind of in line with you. So we've done joint ventures this year with video marketing experts or book marketing coaches in our niche that aligned fairly well. And we got fairly decent sales, especially with the video marketing stuff, obviously, from these events. So it's basically who in your industry can has a decent following, a decent email list, a decent influence, who is maybe not a direct competitor, but somebody who's very much in line with your mission, your offers, your services. Make a list of these people. This is another great way, and a benefit of doing a summit or interviews is that you'll often meet those people doing those things as well. So,
I mean, this is a joint venture right here.
yeah, exactly. It could be considered like Roger and I. Roger, myself, and Michael, we decided to partner together to help present this to a webinar jam specific group. This is a joint venture. And I'll talk about some of the splits and things and how they work. But we're going to split with Roger the income and the traffic and anything that comes after that on demand. Roger's going to get money for that. So that's kind of how it works. How it works is you and a partner agree to do a webinar. Now, you don't have to do a webinar. It could be an email campaign. It could be sharing something like an affiliate link. But in this case, we're talking about webinars. You yourself are going to create the registration and promotional materials. So your partner and you agree, you set a date, you're going to create the registration page and Webinar Jam or something like that. A promotional material, some call it a swipe file, that gives them maybe some canned emails that they can at least use as guidelines or tweets or Facebook posts. And you give that to your partner to make it a little easier on them. You don't want to make them write everything. It's good. Maybe not, at least after your first one or so. Put together a little file you can give people that kind of describe your offers and help them. It helps reduce the burden on them. Your partner will then email their email list, usually 2 or 3 times, maybe promoting your webinar. And then people are going to sign up through the registration link that you gave them. And I'll talk a little bit about affiliate tracking in just a second. And then you and your partner host a webinar. You teach that audience, you teach their audience. All of those people that they emailed and are now through your registration page are now collected onto your list. And you teach and sell your product at the end of the webinar. So, and then you generally split the revenue. So it can be, for an informational product, it can be somewhere between 40 and 50% is pretty common for revenue splits. So we offer 40% to our partners in the past, and they've been agreeable to that. Roger and I are doing 50% on this just because, we just like him, I guess. I don't know. It's just the number we did. He'll take it. He'll take it. So anyway, so that is basically how it works. It's a great way to build your list. These are some of the numbers that we've done. I couldn't find our biggest one that we did, where we did about 400 opt-ins in a matter of a couple days. There's some that are a lot bigger than this. We've worked with some medium-sized partners in our niche, and literally we've added. We added 1,000 plus emails this in the last 3 months from just partners. And that's not a huge number, but 1,000 emails that are fairly targeted to a lot of people probably on here are going to go, wow, that's 1,000 emails, that's pretty cool, So, so these are some of our results, we made $4,000 on one of these. You can say we've had some pretty good days building our list. These are daily additions to our email list. Not too bad. Again, another example of having a partner mail our registration page. This was a smaller one that we did that our partner was mailing. I think she mailed twice to her list, and we got 170 people now are added to our list. We now had a chance to sell to those people our product, and I think we ended up making that one wasn't as big, maybe $1,000 or so on this one. But again, it's money, and now we've gained a lot of people from her audience and stuff too. So how do you set this up? Unless you know them really closely, you're going to want some kind of affiliate tracking system. Now, don't get overwhelmed with this now. You're not starting with this. Again, go back to the next 30 days template that we talked about as to what you should be doing if you're just getting started. This is more advanced stuff. But you need some way to track the sales that come from the webinar to your partner. Now, we use Affiliate WP, which is a WordPress plugin. It's okay. There are other systems that work, like One Shopping Cart. Roger probably has a few other names too we could throw in there, but it's a system that tracks the sales. So unless your partner trusts you and you're just good buddies and you say, oh, I'll just give you the money out of my PayPal afterwards, then you won't need this, obviously. But at some point, you're going to want an affiliate tracking system that can track the sales that you make. Obviously, you need a webinar software like Webinar Jam Studio and an autoresponder like MailChimp or Aweber. And that's really all you need from a text standpoint. And of course, the registration pages are also included in Webinar Jam Studio. And at some point, you don't need to do this right away. You want to have some swipe, some emails that are kind of pre-made to help your partners out a little bit. And here's a tip, and I screwed up a couple joint ventures when I started, and there was some miscommunications. Be clear on when they're going to email for you, like what the schedule looks like. Don't leave that to chance. Try to work those details out a little bit on the front end. I know we had one of our first ones go wrong because we thought he was going to email like 5 days out, and he wasn't going to do it till 2 days or something. And so we were looking at our registrations going, oh, no one's signing up. We're going to cancel this. So we ended up canceling it, and it was a little bit of friction with him. I felt kind of bad about it, but it was just kind of poor communication on my part and his part. We just were kind of inexperienced with joint ventures and didn't really do the right thing to kind of make it work. So make sure you schedule that stuff out effectively. So you have anything to add on that, Roger?
Yeah, no, I think, I couldn't agree more with you. I think in all terms of it, including the scheduling, communication up front and expectations is the key. And that's how you can take something like that. You can mess up aspects of it, but it'll still work out as long as that communication is open and clear. And I think that's with any partnership, any joint venture. The agreement needs to be up front, but again, I even like what John said. You might do this with someone, like a friend, and trust them. I've done lots of deals in the past, and I'm not super suggesting maybe you go out and do this, but people that I had that trust with, and we had enough email conversations back and forth where the deal was made and it was agreed upon. So if anything ever happened, I can always come back and be like, you agreed, we'd be 50-50 split, whatever it is. But and they just paid that way. So you can do it that way, and you can also do joint ventures like this. I use ClickBank a lot. And again, we won't get into this in a lot of detail today. And, even Aurea says Lead Dino is a good affiliate management. I've actually heard good things about that as well. But just so you know, you can do this. What I like about ClickBank is it's free. You only pay when you sell. And I'm going to get a little more into that again in that bonus training for you coming up. But you can have these things. I know it sounds overwhelming because to me it was as well. But you can actually have it where you set it up where a certain commission is paid to any affiliates, and even your partnership contract is paid automatically. So that's what I do with ClickBank. We have it set up where if someone drives traffic to our product, they automatically get a percentage of any sale. Then the leftover money is automatically split between me and my partner. And we just get it all into our bank accounts every Wednesday. You get paid in your bank account.
Yep.
And it works nicely and smoothly. So it doesn't need to be overwhelming. That's the kind of thing that when you get to that point, you can get someone to help you just set it up, and then it's ready to go. So Don't worry, don't get too overwhelmed on it. But also, like John said, don't worry. This isn't what you're going to go out and do tomorrow, but this is something over the next 30, 60 days you might want to start looking at.
Yeah, or maybe a little longer, but yeah, don't start with this. Remember this, I can go back to the slide that I did earlier about the next 30 days. And I hope we made that clear in the beginning, but this is just stuff that we wanted to put this in here as sort of a little bit of advanced stuff. Facebook ads, like you say, after you have an offer that sells, you're going to start using that. You can get laser targeted leads to your webinars for very low cost, often $1 to $3 per sign up, depending on your targeting. Targeting is everything in Facebook advertising. Making sure you're getting the right copy, the right message to the right audience is huge. That's definitely the way to go there. You can retarget those who come to your page but don't register. So you can actually put a pixel on your Webinar Jam registration page. If someone comes, they don't opt in, they can be followed to Facebook with an advertising pixel or an ad that you create. And it allows you to target people on your email list or who have visited your website, or you can even create what are called lookalike audiences for your email list or those who've come to your website, where Facebook produces the common characteristics of those who are on your list and allows you to market to those people. So there's a lot here. I just want to give you an overview here. A few tips. If you're going to play with them, which I I almost didn't want to put this in here because I want to give you guys, don't do this right away. Just come back to this later. Use the Power Editor. Don't go do this, guys. I know Facebook ads are so sexy, right? They're so sexy and they're so tempting to want to learn. And I definitely was guilty. I've taken tons of courses on this stuff. Use Power Editor if you're going to use them. Pick conversion campaigns with a tracking pixel and put that on the thank you page of your webinar registration. Target pages of popular people in your niche. So it's called interest targeting, where you can actually target specific fan pages of those that are in or around your niche, and it helps you really target your message to the appropriate people. You can set up retargeting, and like Roger talked about, you can actually upload your email list to Facebook and market to those people. That'll be your highest converting audience usually, because they already know your brand, they already have interacted with you. You can also do that with your audience traffic.